Johnny Wharff, along with another Marietta High School Athletic Hall of Fame Spotlight interview. Pleased to be joined from the class of 1979, Jon Shuler. Welcome to the induction ceremonies here coming up on October the 1st. John, maybe we'll start with who gave you the call and, gosh, what it feels like to go back to 1979 for a little bit.
Thanks, Johnny. Appreciate you calling, and again, thanks for the compliment and just the chance to share here. And boy, it's a humbling honor, as you can imagine. So many years passed by and so many memories. And when I first heard about it, Mark Duckworth let me know. And thanks to, I guess, Jim Thrash had done a lot of research, kind of in the background, some stats and everything. So I wanted to make sure I could give a shout out to Jim. But yeah, it's exciting and looking forward to being inducted with the class coming in this year for the Hall of Fame, and also representing the class of '79.
Yeah, so we'll keep it right there because arguably one of the greatest classes to ever come out of Marietta High School. And I always think, John, about every year it seems to me has that guy. If my year it was Scott Barrows, if Mark Geisler in '76, but man, the class of '79 had a lot of that guys. It seemed like.
Yeah, that was a cool thing as I was thinking about. Mark was saying, try to come up with some thoughts, some good memories of, not only the coaches and the mentors, but the guys you played with. And I was thinking, there's a lot of guys that crossed over different sports.
Sure.
In our year, and you almost with a small school, quote unquote, in a big conference, participation wise, you had to. But yeah, I think Jeff Stafford, Bill Ross, not to miss anybody because we had so many good athletes. Tim Zoller, Danny Dutton, golf, baseball. But just continue. I can continue naming them. And Tom Bloomingdale, and Jim Angert. But it was so fun. I was telling somebody in the past when I was back, last fall, that it was actually fun to watch some of the plays that those guys made. I was just in awe of my teammates, and it's awesome. Everybody picked up the ball if you dropped it.
Yeah, it's funny you start going down that list. You're like, oh gosh, what did I start right next to
Exactly.
Tom Modai, Bernie Brown, Tom Weil. So you can just keep rolling on down, right? I talked to Matt Warden, who's also going into this Hall of Fame class, and he was a three-sport athlete as well. And I said, he went to Marietta College like you did in baseball, and I'm like, was that your sport? And he's like, no, nothing like running out of the tunnel for a football game. And so I was a little surprised that for a guy that went on to play baseball. So I'm wondering, basketball, baseball, football, did you have a favorite?
Geez, I hope you don't get me in trouble with some of my coaches in sports, but actually football was my favorite. And, playing at Marietta College after Marietta High School was just awesome. For Coach McDaniel, and just kind of staying at home was really, really unique to be able to play for both he and Coach Shalley. But football was my favorite. A lot of people thought because I played 4 years in college and, especially around town they heard about it, I guess, and just 1 year in football, that was the toughest decision I made. We threw 40 times a game. I was kidding with Coach Hahn. I was like, hey, Coach, why didn't we throw that much in high school? And he's got a line for that. I don't want to spoil that, but it was totally different. I figured he was a Michigan guy and he didn't want to throw that much, but that necessarily wasn't the case.
That's funny. For the listeners, 1,300 yards passing in that Marietta College year, a record that stood for 12 years, and then two of the first national championships, right? You were on both those teams on baseball, right?
Right, in 81 and 83.
Yeah. As
was Steve Riley, John Shalley, and I think actually Todd Brockmeyer. He tried out the first year or something, and Tim Zoller too. So we had some Marietta representation, just like with Matt Warden.
John, I got to
see some other guys.
Oh yeah. I got to see this from a very different perspective, one that I appreciate so much. And I, again, jokingly not jokingly, but I peaked athletically at about age 7. But as a fan, to be engaged so much from my high school, if it was 78 to 80, but to be engaged in the game so much, very different I feel than it is today. But it just seemed like you could barely get into Sutton Gym or into Don Drum, and we were there for a reason, and that was to cheer the football team on.
Yeah, it was a special. Of course, I like to think that each class or each 2, 3, 4 years has kind of the same experience, which sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But I just remember with playing Parkersburg, the Big Reds in '79, they won the state championship, and we beat them prior to them winning, 21-0. So the place was packed.
Sure.
And you mentioned Sutton Gymnasium. It was really cool. That I just remember you always remember the high points, right? The COL title game. Place was just packed. Fans from both, Zanesville and Marietta. And getting to speak with Coach Sutton prior to that, the legend, right? When the gym was named after, Coach Paxson did a really class act by having him come and talk to us for a few minutes before that.
Wow, yeah.
Which was, as if we weren't excited enough already.
So much fun.
But that was great.
Yeah. And then, go ahead.
I was just going to give a hats off to sometimes, growing up, you're looking at the guys playing in the classes ahead of you. You looked up to them.
Right.
Mark Schwinneman, again, don't want to, miss anybody. The Zides, Rusty Zide, and some of those guys that Ed Williams, Bill Stacy, just looked up to. You wanted to kind of be like them and take over the next reign, so to speak, and playing with your brother, Chris Wharff, Joe Weber, guys like that. Get to play on the same team. They were part of a lot of our victories too, coming up, as were the classes behind us. So it was kind of a great mishmash of different talents at different times that just contributed to such a great time.
All right, just a final thought, because my listeners want to know where are they now, right? So maybe I appreciate you taking us back to '79. Congratulations on this honor into the 2022 Athletic Hall of Fame. First class of '79 are going in here, which is another honor in of its own right. But give us a little 2022 Jon Shuler.
Hey, thanks, Joey. I've been living in Indianapolis now for about 28 years. Really enjoy it out here. It's a great place to raise our two boys. Spencer's 31 and Ben is now 26. They'll be with us at the ceremony there. My wife, Gwen, she was in Indianapolis. My sister, Wendy and Tim Shuler, had gone to Franklin College out here. That's how I met my wife, long story short, and just have had a great time out here. Have been in sales basically since I left college, and I was in software sales for a while, the last 9 or 10 years, and stepped over the hardware side of computing sales. So it's been good. Met a lot of great people out here, but as I like to say to people too, it's, I don't like to live in the past, but it's nice to visit once in a while. It sure is a great time. So Marietta is a very, very special place to me and for all of our family, Dad and Mom too.
Oh, fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, John.
Yes, sir. Had a chance to see them this past summer as well. So we'll look forward to seeing you, Jon Shuler, class of 1979, 2022 inductee into the Marietta High School Athletic Hall of Fame.
Thanks so much, Johnny.